Let me tell y'all, these Fletchers clocked in. Okay, Miss Fletcher clocked in last week's episode, and Mr. Fletcher clocked in this episode. Honey, he drove all the way to Martell's construction site just to spill some tea. Now, if that ain't messy, I don't know what is. But anyway, before we get into that, let me start off about this crazy conversation between Mr. Potato Head, aka Marsau, and Melody. It's really unbelievable the fact that he's known this woman for 14 years, yet pretending to not know what she does as far as business, but knowing enough to know that she filed bankruptcy a couple years ago. Now, in the scene, Mr. Potato Head was definitely on a mission to undermine her entrepreneurship. Now, he's doing this as if it has no economic value. So she had to remind him that this t-shirt business you speak of earned $1 million in 1 year. And he said, yeah, and that went bankrupt. Again, he's trying to undermine her business and her accomplishments by mentioning her bankruptcy, which she filed only after her ex-husband filed, because she did not want that financial burden to fall on her. So she had to hurry up and file after Martell filed. But then she said, well, Marsau, you filed bankruptcy as well. So I filed bankruptcy due to a divorce, but you filed bankruptcy due to your finances or lack thereof. Two different reasons. Hers was divorce driven and his was due to his lack of finances and that $5 million lawsuit that he brushed right over, that he never elaborated on, never denied it, never confirmed it. And it's just every episode is being rushed under the rug. We need to know the details and what's going on with this lawsuit, because I don't want to go another episode without you explaining what's going on with this lawsuit, because you're involved in everybody else's business but don't want to talk about that. But you want to throw her bankruptcy out there. So I'm going to make it my mission to look for this lawsuit on the judiciary website, if it's on there for the state of Georgia, because we're going to find that and talk about it. So moving forward, he's still declaring he does not know what Mel does. He says the only business he's aware of is the t-shirt business. And when he does hear Mel and business in the same sentence, it's usually her starting a new business as if she's throwing something against the wall to see what sticks. This further shows his intimidation, and he's trying to get her to see herself in the same manner in which he sees her, because he sees her as a woman that sells t-shirts, a small business that's not adding any value. That's how he sees her, and that's how he wants her to see herself, because he's intimidated by her. Marsau, I'm talking to you. Stop playing with her. She's been an entrepreneur for over a decade, specializing in property preservation, the same business she put you onto. Talk about dropping bombs, honey. And then he pretends to not know what she's doing, but yet posted about it on his social media. And she also put him on, but yet he has no clue what she does. Still trying to undermine her even further. So then he throws another jab, talking about that her success is only because of her reality TV fame and her social media following. And had she not had that platform, her business would not be as successful as it is now. So he still's focusing on these t-shirts and not her other businesses. It's ridiculous. And she said to him that the fact that he's trying to downplay her knowledge, her expertise, and her business acumen is a disgrace. And it is. After all said and done, this ninja asked for her opinion and expertise about the expo at this town hall meeting they're throwing. So he doesn't value her business, but value her opinion regarding the expo. What a shame. Here's what I have to say. Using her platform and her reality TV show to grow her business is good business sense. But he wouldn't know that because he likes to scam. I'm surprised she didn't get up and walk away. Some people you just shouldn't entertain. Why does she feel that his opinions matter to her? I don't know. An opinion from a man that's in debt, has a $5 million lawsuit fraud, yet You feel you have to pull out your resume to prove your success and value. That I don't understand. There's something wrong here, Queen. There is something wrong here. Here's a man with bankruptcy and a lawsuit sitting on a high horse while your crown is beneath his feet. Houston, we have a problem. You over here sending him your resume about all the accomplishment for what his opinion does not matter. Why do you care how he feels about you? I just don't get it. And what does Marsau do, or Mr. Potato Head? Credit repair? That's what I know he does, and that's pretty much a scam. So moving on, we have Tiff and Louie. She's complaining about a problem she created, child. She's creating the subtle shade by making little sly comments. So they're going to the park with baby Ace. She's complaining about quality time while spending quality time. Then she said, "We just glad Daddy could grace us with his presence," as if he's an absentee father. Girl, then it gets worse. She said, "Well, since Daddy's not home enough, he can set up the picnic for us." So after several of these comments, he's finally had enough and says, "Okay, so this what we doing now? You putting on for the cameras? Or you trying to clock in?" So she's trying to clock in to make him look bad. But then she got the audacity to ask him if he only agreed to have baby Ace because he knew he would not be around anyway. Honey. I mean, talk about a low blow. That was low. She pressured this man into having a baby when he didn't think it would be a good idea anyway. Her first marriage ended due to finances. She said he was her soulmate, but she filed for divorce due to finances. So now you have a man with financial stability, but now you're complaining about him working to provide the very lifestyle you coveted in your first marriage. Make it make sense. Please make it make sense. She's talking about things changed since having the baby. No, nothing has changed. Y'all both have the same busy schedule y'all had before. You're only busy inside the home now. You were first busy outside the home, but now you're busy inside the home while he's still as busy outside the home. Nothing has changed except you're busy at home, girl. Oh, don't go nowhere because it gets worse. The drama does not stop there. So she's acting like she is a first-time mom that's living in a parallel universe. So she says that she sits in the rocking chair and cry because she feels like she does so much, but at the same time doesn't do anything at all. Girl, huh? Come on, girl. I mean, come on. So she's talking about laundry and the dishes. Well, you have teenage kids. They can chip in. Okay, and then she goes on to talk about her baby weight when she just had a baby 2 weeks ago. And then she says she's afraid of losing him because he travels, and she's afraid that he's going to meet some hot honey and then leave her. So that's why you had the baby, to gain some leverage. Okay, now it's starting to make sense. So somebody on Instagram said, "If you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight." Yeah, how fitting, how fitting. Girl, keep this nonsense up. You really gonna be lonely, for real. I can't. It's like she's not satisfied with his efforts at all. He's doing everything he can, and it's not enough for her. He said that when the shoe was on the other foot, you weren't complaining. For a while, you were busy outside the home, and he was still had his career, but he was busy in the home as well. But you had nothing to say about that. But yeah, she's complaining about nothing, and I can see that this is probably ruins their marriage because she trying to make this man look bad. She's acting like she's so overwhelmed, which I do get. But you have resources, and you're acting like you're a single parent or a single mom. I don't know, but you have the resources. Get a nanny. Ask those grown teenagers to chip in. They can take the trash out. They can set the dishwasher. Hire a babysitter or nanny for the baby while you work. Because y'all discussed this last season about having a baby, and he said it wasn't a good idea, but You were persistent. And then you think that this wasn't going to change things? Girl, bye. So now we finally get to this town hall meeting, and Stormi is still using her BOGO coupons to disrespect Marsau, which he kind of deserves. The way he's treating Melanie and all. You want to act like a woman, so we're going to treat you like one. And once again, Tish is mute. Why do y'all think that is? Why is she so mute when this woman disrespects her husband? I don't know. So at the town hall meeting, everybody's greeting each other. Mel did arrive late, and so did Kimmy. So Marcel said hi to Stormi, but she just ignored him, honey. So then we see him being sarcastic about it in his confessional, talking about her not speaking broke his heart. So then nobody. And then Marcel. I had lunch with Mel. And Tish gave him the side eye because, once again, she's left out of the loop. She don't know what's going on. She's so over it at this point. But here we are again. Marsau can't resist belittling Mel businesses and her achievement, even after she asks him not to. So he's really on a jab throwing mission. He still stands by, his word about her t-shirt business not being relevant to the community because, again, he feels her business is only successful because of her platform. Then this punk went on to compare Stormi's business with Mel t-shirt business, saying Stormi was selling products before the platform. So I think he did that to try to stir up some jealousy and some competition between them. That was so low. I am so sick of him. It's like him and Tish has different roles. He's always involved in females' business, and when she should be involved in business and should be chiming in, she don't. She let him do it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So he goes on to talk about how her small business isn't relevant. So Martel steps in and he tries to be the voice of reason. And he says any business is relevant. And he used himself as an example, cutting grass. He said he started from the bottom, cutting 1 yard, and then worked his way up to $120,000 a lot, honey. But notice Marsau never even mentions the lawn business they had together. And speaking of Martel, he looked all down in the dumps. Especially when Mel was speaking, he couldn't take his eyes off her. And when she walked in the room, he was like, wow, look what I lost. Yeah, look what you lost. Like, you lost everything for some coleslaw. And now you got to make your bed and lay in it. Like, this man literally lost everything. He don't have a place to stay. He doesn't have his businesses. He's borderline broke. All this because of coleslaw. So then Mel give her feedback suggesting next time they focus on smaller businesses like hair, makeup, nails, beauty. And then Stormi chimed in and said that at the expo there was a lack of motivation. And then she ended up sharing her own journey. She says she started off by believing that she could, and I agree with her. And I really want to give her a round of applause for that, because in the book that I was reading, it's for men, but I read it. It's called Think and Grow Rich. And the author says riches begin in the form of thought, and that faith removes those limitations. And the dominating thoughts of your mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward action. That is a fact. I've been wanting to do YouTube since 2013. That's when I originally started. But I find myself always procrastinating because I honestly thought I couldn't do it. Nor would anyone want to listen to me because I was doing makeup at the time too. And still doing reality shows. But I'm like, nobody wants to listen to me. So I started in 2013, kept procrastinating, uploaded one video and left it at that. So then once I stepped out on faith, I started to believe in myself. But at the same time, it has been rough because after 12 days, I was ready to quit. But this is hard. This ain't easy. This is hard work. But yeah, I did step out on faith. And sometimes you just need that encouragement. But the only thing that keep us from persevering is our wrong thoughts. Like we think we can't do it. And if we think we can't do it, guess what? We won't do it. So change your mindset. So moving on back to Mr. Potato Head, he was really being the ultimate villain in this scene. He was dismissing Stormi's motivation idea with this sneer. Like he's like a dark cloud, overshadowing her input. So, and he was really showing that he doesn't value the wisdom of women. So Mel piggybacked on what Stormi said. That's when he said it's a good idea. So he was really being petty, trying to get under Stormi's skin, and he did. Yes, honey, his sassiness was at its all-time finest. But I know that he got under Stormi's skin when he kind of shut down her motivation idea, but agreed when Mel said something. So Tish was mute this entire meeting, and she only chimed in when Mel was giving her 2 cents about how the event as a whole wasn't organized. So she said, well, we're not talking about, everything that took place prior to the expo. We're talking about the event itself. And Mel said, no, we're talking about everything. No, you're not going to dismiss my thoughts. But yeah, she only chimed in when Mel had something to say. It was unorganized because no one should be collecting money at the door that they had no knowledge about. That's not organization. Then on top of that, you lied to the Fletchers and said you were going to invite them, but didn't. So yeah, it was a little bit of disorganization. Yes, I agree with Mel. But Tish didn't have nothing to say until Mel chimed in. Oh, interesting. So Marsau said the feedback that he's receiving, he'll incorporate it into the next expo. So Tiff said, well, even from the women. So him being a smartass and a sassy pants said, I know you're not used to being valued, but you're valued here. Child, when let me tell you, I started cracking up. Like, I can't believe, like, he is so quick with his remarks. And they're too slow, but he's so quick. But Tish looked at him and said, Marsau, stop. But where was this when Stormi was disrespecting her husband, saying he's a bish? Why didn't you say anything? I think this is the beginning of her being fed up with Marsau, with his shenanigans that's going on off screens that we haven't seen yet. But I think it's coming because you haven't checked this lady at all when she's called your husband a bish. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And you just letting it slide like it's no big deal. Yeah, something going on behind the scenes. And yeah, hopefully we'll find out. Because in this scene, she just seems so out of it, like she's in deep thought. But her thoughtness is not pertaining to the expo. It's pertaining to something else. Yeah, so her mind is on something else. And I do believe it's something going on between her and Mr. Potato Head. So finally, Courtney had enough and said, listen, Martell, shut up and let your wife talk while she's sitting there mute. But of course she wouldn't. She didn't say a damn thing. Marsau still saying little slick comments. Finally, they had enough, the Steels, and they left. But not before Marsau had to throw another jab. So he said goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Steele. But Courtney's last name isn't Steele. So yeah, he was definitely trying to, just being a sassy little witch, just like a woman. So the next day, Kimmy felt the need to invite Miss Fletcher to the office to explain to her, before she hears from anyone else, why she wasn't invited to the expo town hall meeting, which she wasn't a part of in the first place. So Nell was like, I wish you had let me decide whether or not to attend the meeting. She said, well, and Tiff said, Kimmy, she said, well, it's my meeting. Why she felt the need to be there, I don't know. Maybe she's feeling some type of way being left out. I don't think you need to explain to her why you didn't invite her to a meeting that she wasn't a part of as far as the expo in the first place. So yeah, you didn't need to explain to her nothing. Whether she heard it from someone else or not, you didn't owe her an explanation. But Miss Fletcher felt entitled and she felt that she should have been there. She acts like a little brat. I like you, Miss Fletcher, but you act like a brat. You are too entitled, girl. And they both are still holding a grudge about not being invited to the expo because later on, her husband is going to drive to an empty lot to give Martell some tea. They're going to make sure y'all pay for what y'all did by not inviting them. So now we finally get to Martell and Mr. Fletcher. So Martell is still living in this house that should have been sold 2 months ago. And he said he needed he needed 2 more weeks, which was last month. And he's still pussyfooting around. And Mr. Fletcher is sick of him. So then Mr. Fletcher tells Martell that Marsau had the audacity of not knowing he's a business owner, having known him for umpteen years. And then he spilled some tea and said that for that expo, they actually got some sponsorship, which was the idea from Melody. Taking her business advice, but not thinking that she's worthy to speak at this little expo. Then he went on to tell him how Mr. Potato Head didn't think that Mel should be paid to speak. And Martell is saying, well, she's actually the best public speaker he's known. So Martell is obviously pissed off. And he's going to check both him and Tish in the next episode, in which Mr. Potato Head seems to be oblivious to. He is something else. To know that he met Mel and Martell, and they actually brought them in under their business. Now they seem to be undermining them. Like there's jealousy. There's definitely jealousy coming from Marsau from Melody because she has her own business on her own. Meanwhile, he's using his wife's name to get sponsorships. Oop. Like he was really sassy this episode. Like a real woman. So I get why Stormi said he acts like a woman, but what she should have did was call the man a bitch. And y'all see that Tish act like it was nothing. She act like she didn't hear it. So we'll see what happened next episode. This is the end of the summary. And y'all, peace.